a special niche in the history of the biodiversity economy in the Republic, and of course, across our continent. At the heart of it all is that the biotrade sector is determined to be the master of its own destiny, the owner of its own narrative, and that entrepreneurs and innovators are more than ready to offer proudly made in South Africa and proudly made in Africa products, finished products for that matter, to offer to the entire world. You will know that for over 300 or more years, South Africa, like any other developing country in Africa, we have been the bastion of taking between 70 and 90% of our rich biodiversity in raw material form elsewhere in the world. But through this partnership that we have now fostered together with our counterparts across the globe, we are proud that we are starting a generation of innovators, of entrepreneurs, of people who are saying, we want to tap into our resources and add value to them so that we sell our finished products.
Cultures and communities that gave rise to them. From the sun-drained savannas to the misty mountain forests, Africa's biodiversity is a living library, one that holds answers to some of the world's most pressing challenges in health, nutrition, climate resilience, and globalization. Let us begin by acknowledging the quiet power of our indigenous plants. The baobab, often called the tree of life, which offers fruit rich in vitamin C, leaves that nourish and bark that heals. Honeybush and rooibos, which have been spoken about, once brewed in village kitchens, now grace shelves in Paris, Tokyo, and New York. But these plants are not just commodities. They are cultural symbols, as you say. They are ecological anchors. They are the legacy of generations who understood the land not as something to be exploited, but as something to be respected. Today we pay tribute to the traditional knowledge holders, our ancestors, our elders, our healers, our farmers, whose wisdom has guided sustainable use of biodiversity for centuries. Their knowledge is not anecdotal. It is empirical, it is tested, refined, and passed down through oral histories, rituals, and lived experiences. As government, we are committed to protecting this knowledge through robust access and benefit sharing frameworks. We must ensure that communities are not just consulted, but compensated, not just acknowledged, but empowered.
We had a presentation by Prime Africa, Karen, to present a study that, or a tool that we in the process of developing on behalf of not just the market access cluster, but for all the clusters, in order to see to categorize the SMEs. And the idea around the categorization of the SMEs is to be able to provide them with a correct support. We want to know that we don't move SMEs in a direction or provide them with information prior to the time that they're ready for that support. And you can see the direct link to the finance cluster, because we also want to ensure that those SMEs, they could get the right and are referred to the right, let's say, entities that could support them either technically or financially. And we broke up in groups, 4 groups, in which is called the 4 clusters or the categories that we've identified. The first one is emerging SMEs, and then it's established SMEs, growth-ready SMEs, and export-ready or exporting SMEs. Please bear in mind, this is now also understanding that the different value chains are at different maturity levels. So, and we talk about the segments within these different value chains. The requirements for instance, and we've heard quite a lot of marula. The requirements for cosmetics, for the oil, marula oil, and the requirements for marula fruit is 2 different things. We have to take that into account.
I think what was a big standout for me is that a lot of the contributors in the session have their own defined way, what they have actually done and developed their own strategies around a very common goal, and that's about how you can connect into these clusters out of their own way. And what's so beautiful was how we can learn from one another and apply that knowledge and those lessons. And obviously, as I said, if you want to go fast or alone, if you want to go far, go together. And I think that's something I took out of that cluster. So from our side, as Green Agri, what we do is we grow small-scale farmers. And what we do is we democratize agriculture, and how we can democratize agriculture by connecting small-scale farmers into the supply chain. Because one thing which is a common denominator amongst the supply, sort of the sustainable supply cluster, is the fact that you've got to create the work engines. Those are the people on the ground. Those are the people that actually produce and make it happen. You know? So to me, it's a very strong. Not that we're any different from the other farms, but what was very common among all of us is that the people, the harvesting. You know, with Anna talking about the aloe vera, our projects that we're running up in Copa and Northwest Province, and around harvesting, and then with Theo's team, etc. It's about the people on the ground and how we can actually mobilize these underserved communities who are absolutely, I wouldn't say wasted, but they just don't have the opportunity to actually tap into a sustainable cluster like we have and grow them as individuals and take them and create their livelihoods by creating, you know, through the Biotrade system and using their lands to obviously supply into what we call the sustainable cluster. So that was pretty evident from our side that we all have the same problem in that in terms of different as farmers and how we're going to connect into them. Looking at very clever systems and ways of doing it, like obviously leveraging technology. We spoke about what we had really just with the biomod, really a great session that was very well Professor Koch, and how we can connect these farmers to technology, to information, to, as I said earlier, this huge pool of information. I think we can actually take us up to another level because the information is there. The systems are there, the practices are there. The greatest thing, as you say, you know, we want to get into the international space, but it starts right here at our level because we've got to be what we call the local gap compliant, and that's very important. So policy plays a role, and obviously innovation, finance can give the farmers input so that they can grow it up. Because, you know, the biggest problem we have in this country is we have the land, we have the people, do not have access to markets. And if we can bring the off-takes to the innovative farmers through the Biotrade, I think we can shift this economy quick and at speed. One of the sessions we had earlier with NAFI is at speed. Is how do we scale at speed without using quality? And I think that's the key to the sustainable supply cluster. So guys, I think you've heard enough from me. Have a look at it.